The ultimatum. The Milky Way had never been a peaceful place. For millennia, countless species had risen to power, conquered, fallen, and disappeared. The galactic stage was a constant shuffle of alliances and betrayals, with the strong preying on the weak as they always had. Humanity had been on the galactic scene for less than 3 centuries, a blink of an eye by cosmic standards. The other species regarded them with a mixture of curiosity and dismissal, an upstart race that had somehow mastered faster-than-light travel despite their primitive beginnings. Earth was considered a backwater, a planet of little strategic importance tucked away in an unremarkable arm of the galaxy. That was the fundamental error that would cost the Voidborn hegemony everything. Admiral Thexus stood on the command deck of the Inevitable Conquest, flagship of the hegemony's 7th Fleet. His 6 eyes scanned the holographic display of the Sol system, focusing on the small blue-green world that was their target. Earth, a world rumored to have valuable resources and a reasonably developed civilization, but nothing that should pose a challenge to the might of the hegemony. Final approach to Earth orbit, Admiral, reported his navigation officer. The primitive detection systems they employ have registered our presence. Thexus flexed his mandibles in what passed for a smile among his kind. Excellent. Open a communication channel to their governing bodies. Let us give them the standard terms of surrender. For centuries, the Voidborn had operated with the same approach. Arrive with overwhelming force, demand immediate capitulation, and begin the process of stripping a world of its resources and people. Few civilizations had ever offered meaningful resistance. Those that did were made examples of. The communication systems hummed to life. Channel open, Admiral. Their global communication network is receiving our transmission. Thexus straightened his carapace, his voice booming as he delivered the ultimatum. People of Earth, I am Admiral Thexus of the Voidborn hegemony. Your world has been selected for integration into our dominion. Surrender your military assets and prepare for occupation. Resistance will result in planetary bombardment. You have 6 Earth hours to comply. The communication channel remained silent for precisely 2 minutes. Then a single voice responded, calm, measured, almost amused. Admiral Thexus of the Voidborn hegemony, this is Admiral Helena Chen of Earth Defense Command. We have received your terms and find them unacceptable. We have a counter-proposal. Withdraw your forces immediately, or face annihilation. You have 1 Earth hour to comply. Laughter erupted across the command deck, a primitive species daring to threaten the might of the Voidborn. It was absurd. Thexus himself couldn't help but click his mandibles in amusement. Your bravado is noted, Admiral Chen, he responded. But I can see your world has no orbital defense platforms, no significant space navy, and only rudimentary kinetic weapons. What exactly do you intend to fight us with? The human's voice remained unnervingly steady. That's an interesting assumption, Admiral. Let me be clear. We've been watching your kind for decades. We know what you've done to other worlds. Earth has prepared accordingly. Thexus felt a flicker of unease but dismissed it. Intelligence reports had been thorough. Earth was defenseless against a space-based attack. Your deception will not save you. Prepare for the consequences of your defiance. He closed the channel and turned to his weapons officer. Target their largest military installations. A demonstration strike should bring them to their senses. The weapons officer input the commands, and the Inevitable Conquest's main particle cannons charged with a low, resonant hum. The energy built to a crescendo, and 4 brilliant beams of light shot toward Earth's surface. They never arrived. Halfway to the planet's atmosphere, the beams struck something invisible. The energy dispersed in a spectacular display of light and radiation, harmlessly spreading across what appeared to be a global shield encompassing the entire planet. Silence fell across the command deck. Impossible, Thexus whispered. Scan the shield. What technology is this? Before his science officer could respond, the ship's sensors blared with urgent warnings. From Earth's moon, previously thought to be an uninhabited, worthless rock, dozens of structures were emerging. Within seconds, they revealed themselves to be launch bays, and from them poured hundreds of sleek, angular vessels. Earth had a navy, a massive, hidden navy. All ships, battle stations. Thexus roared, but it was too late for organized resistance. The Earth vessels moved with impossible speed, surrounding the hegemony fleet before they could form a defensive posture. Admiral Chen's voice returned, broadcasting across all hegemony channels. Admiral Thexus, your hour has been reduced to 0. You were given a chance to leave peacefully. That chance has expired. The first hegemony vessel exploded without warning, its reactor core breached by weapons the sensors couldn't even detect. 2 more followed in quick succession. How? Thexus demanded, his mandibles clicking in agitation. How is this possible? Our intelligence was exactly what we wanted you to see, Chen interrupted. For 50 years, humanity has been preparing for this day. We studied every species that fell to your kind. We adapted their technologies, improved upon them, and developed countermeasures for everything in your arsenal. On the tactical display, Thexus watched in horror as his fleet, the mighty 7th Fleet that had conquered 17 worlds, was being systematically dismantled. Ships that tried to retreat were disabled rather than destroyed, their propulsion systems targeted with surgical precision. This isn't possible, he muttered. We are the Voidborn. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. And yet here you are, being defeated by what you thought was a primitive species. Chen replied. Your fundamental error, Admiral, was assuming that humanity's relative youth in galactic affairs equated to weakness. You should have studied our history more carefully. Thexus felt a cold dread as he realized the truth. You wanted us to come. Of course we did, Chen confirmed. Your attack was inevitable. Every species you've ever encountered has fallen to your predations. We simply decided that the cycle ends with us. As the Earth fleet closed in on the inevitable conquest, Admiral Chen delivered a final message, one that would soon spread throughout the galaxy. Humanity's final warning to the Voidborn hegemony and all who would threaten Earth. You chose war. Now suffer the cost. The inevitable conquest's engines failed, its weapon systems went dark, and Thexus found himself staring at a fleet of human vessels surrounding his helpless flagship. In that moment, he understood the true extent of his miscalculation. Earth hadn't been hiding out of fear. They had been preparing, watching, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal themselves as something far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. And now the galaxy would know. The reckoning. The Voidborn Hegemony Supreme Council convened an emergency session for the first time in 3 centuries. The loss of the 7th Fleet was unprecedented, a catastrophe that threatened the very foundation of hegemony power. The 16 High Counselors, representing the oldest and most powerful Voidborn hive clans, gathered in their orbital sanctum above the hegemony throne world of Thex Prime. High Speaker Lazax, eldest of the council, raised his withered limbs for silence. The humans have captured Admiral Thexus and disabled 37 of our most advanced warships. Another 24 have been completely destroyed. This is unthinkable. The chamber erupted in chittering outrage. Voidborn did not accept defeat. For millennia, they had expanded their dominion across the stars, consuming and conquering. That a single world of primates could inflict such devastation was beyond comprehension. We must respond with overwhelming force, hissed Counselor Vrex, head of the military caste. I propose we divert the 1st and 3rd fleets from the Orion campaign. Together, they represent over 700 warships. Not even these, humans could withstand such might. The council murmured in agreement until a junior communications officer rushed into the chamber, a violation of protocol that would normally result in immediate execution. But the news he carried silenced all thoughts of punishment. Honored counselors, the officer gasped, we are receiving a direct transmission from the human homeworld. They have somehow bypassed all our encryption and security protocols. The signal is being broadcast to every hegemony world simultaneously. Before any counselor could respond, the massive holographic display at the center of the chamber flickered to life. Admiral Helena Chen's face appeared, her expression calm but resolute. Leadership of the Voidborn hegemony, she began without preamble. I am Admiral Helena Chen of Earth Defense Command. By now, you are aware that your 7th Fleet has been neutralized. This demonstration was restrained and merciful compared to our full capabilities. Lazax rose from his throne, mandibles clicking in fury. You dare to threaten the hegemony? Your world will be reduced to ash for this insolence. Chen's expression didn't change. We anticipated this response. Before you commit to a course of action you cannot reverse, I suggest you direct your attention to the Arcturus, Sirius, and Proxima systems. Confused, Vrex signaled to the tactical officers. The holographic display split to show real-time feeds from those star systems, all critical supply junctions for the hegemony's military operations. What they saw caused even the oldest counselors to recoil in shock. In each system, massive structures had appeared in orbit around key hegemony installations. They had not been there hours earlier, and no warp signatures had been detected. They had simply manifested. What you're seeing is what we call the Prometheus network, Chen explained. Phase-shifted quantum emplacements that exist partially outside normal spacetime. They were deployed to strategic locations throughout your empire years ago, waiting for activation. Impossible, Vrex screeched. Our detection systems are based on principles of physics that we transcended decades ago. Chen interrupted. While you were conquering less advanced species, humanity was preparing for this exact scenario. We didn't rush into the galactic community. We watched. We learned. And most importantly, we innovated. On the displays, the structures began to glow with energy. Near one of them, a hegemony patrol vessel approached. Without any visible weapon discharge, the patrol ship simply disintegrated, breaking apart at the molecular level. The Prometheus protocol is now active, Chen continued. Each emplacement can neutralize any vessel or installation within its operational radius. They can detect attempts at mass evacuation or fleet movements. Any aggressive action toward Earth or her allies will trigger an automatic response from the network. The council chamber was deathly silent. Even Lazax, who had overseen the conquest of dozens of worlds in his long lifetime, seemed at a loss for words. This is unprecedented, he finally managed. You would destroy an entire civilization. For the first time, Chen's expression hardened. No, High Speaker Lazax, we are preventing you from destroying any more civilizations. The hegemony has consumed enough worlds. The cycle of predation ends today. With a gesture, she brought up footage that made several counselors turn away in shame. Recordings of hegemony forces decimating peaceful worlds, harvesting populations for labor, stripping planets of resources until they were uninhabitable husks. We have compiled extensive documentation of your atrocities across 2,000 years of expansion, Chen said. This evidence has been shared with every spacefaring civilization in the galaxy. Your victims now know they are not alone, and they know there is hope for justice. Lazax's voice was barely audible. What are your terms? They are non-negotiable, Chen replied. First, immediate cessation of all military operations against any world. Second, withdrawal of occupation forces from all conquered territories. Third, reparations to the civilizations you've harmed, administered by a neutral council that we will help establish. You would destroy everything we've built, Vrex snarled. Generations of conquest. Theft, Chen corrected. And yes, your empire of theft and murder will be dismantled. But your species will survive, contained to your original homeworlds. You will have the opportunity to build a civilization based on something other than predation. The council erupted in arguments, threats, and desperate proposals for counterattack. But as the tactical displays showed more Prometheus emplacements revealing themselves throughout hegemony space, the reality of their situation became undeniable. In a single day, Humanity had accomplished what no other species had managed in millennia. They had brought the mighty void-born hegemony to its knees. "You have 6 Earth hours to begin compliance," Chen said. After that, the Prometheus Protocol enters Phase 2, and strategic hegemony military assets will be systematically neutralized. The transmission ended, leaving the Council in stunned silence. 3 hours later, the Supreme Council of the Void-born Hegemony issued its first surrender in recorded history. Across the galaxy, on worlds that had lived under the shadow of hegemony oppression for generations, people emerged from hiding to look up at the stars with hope. The message spread from system to system. Humanity had done the impossible. The predators had become prey. On Earth, in the secure underground command center beneath the Olympus Mons colony on Mars, Admiral Chen received confirmation of the hegemony's capitulation. Beside her stood General Marcus Wade, architect of the Prometheus Protocol. "Do you think they'll honor the terms?" Wade asked, studying the holographic display of surrendering hegemony forces. Chen shook her head slightly. "Not willingly. They'll test boundaries, look for weaknesses. It's in their nature, and we'll be waiting." Wade nodded. This was always about more than just Earth's safety. It was about breaking the cycle. Chen agreed. For thousands of years, this galaxy has operated on the principle that might makes right. Species either became predators or prey. She gestured toward the vast tactical display, showing hundreds of formerly oppressed worlds now beginning the process of rebuilding. Humanity chose a third option. We became protectors. Throughout the galaxy, Earth's final message to the Voidborn continued to echo, not just as a warning to one aggressive empire, but as a promise to all who would threaten peace among the stars. You chose war. Now suffer the cost. The age of predation was over. The age of humanity had begun.